And those people that went in are controlled by Turkey. And that's okay. It's another way to fight. But no, I don't think that I want to have our soldiers killed. But I don't think that will happen now anyway, because the one side's been decimated.
Mr. President, I want to ask you a question about the drones.
Are you concerned about more unrest in that region, or do you think it will calm?
Well, nobody knows what the final outcome is going to be in the region. You know, nobody knows who really the final. I believe it's Turkey, and I think Turkey is very smart. He's a very smart guy, and he's very tough. But Turkey did an unfriendly takeover without a lot of lives being lost. I can say that Assad was a butcher. What he did to children. You remember I attacked him with the 58
The Middle East
missiles.
has long been a region of immense
Unbelievable
strategic importance and volatility.
missiles coming
The election
from
of Donald Trump as the 45th
700
President
miles
of the
away,
United
and every one
States
of them hit.
ushered in a new era in U.S. foreign policy, particularly in its approach to the Middle East. Trump's approach signaled a departure from the policies of his predecessors, emphasizing a more assertive stance and a willingness to challenge conventional thinking. This shift was evident in his campaign rhetoric and early policy pronouncements, which emphasized strengthening alliances with key regional players, including Turkey under President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Trump's Middle East policy was driven by a desire to prioritize American interests and reduce the United States' involvement in protracted conflicts. He questioned the effectiveness of past U.S. interventions and sought to redefine America's role in the region. This approach resonated with many Americans who had grown weary of costly and seemingly endless military engagements. The Middle East, with its complex web of alliances and rivalries, presented a unique challenge for the Trump administration. The region was grappling with the ongoing Syrian civil war, the rise of extremist groups like ISIS, and the enduring Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Navigating this complex landscape required a delicate balance of diplomacy, military strength, and a clear understanding of the regional dynamics. Trump's decision to prioritize relationships with strongmen like Erdogan was a calculated gamble. He believed that by aligning himself with powerful leaders, he could advance U.S. interests more effectively. However, this approach also carried risks, as it often meant overlooking human rights concerns and potentially empowering authoritarian regimes. Donald Trump's approach to the Middle East was characterized by a bold vision that sought to reshape the regional order. Central to this vision was a desire to counter Iranian influence, which he viewed as a destabilizing force in the region. Trump believed that Iran's nuclear ambitions and support for militant groups posed a direct threat to U.S. interests and its allies in the region, particularly Israel and Saudi Arabia. To counter Iran, Trump adopted a strategy of maximum pressure, which involved withdrawing from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, commonly known as the Iran nuclear deal, and imposing crippling economic sanctions on Tehran. The Trump administration argued that the JCPOA was flawed and did not go far enough in curbing Iran's nuclear program or its ballistic missile development. In addition to confronting Iran, Trump sought to strengthen ties with traditional U.S. allies in the region, including Israel, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt. He viewed these countries as critical partners in containing Iranian influence and combating terrorism. Trump's decision to relocate the U.S. Embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem was a testament to his unwavering support for the Jewish state. Furthermore, Trump made it clear that he intended to reduce the U.S. military footprint in the Middle East. He believed that the United States had been bogged down in the region for too long, and that it was time for other countries to take on more responsibility for their own security. This approach was evident in his decision to withdraw U.S. troops from Syria, a move that drew criticism from some quarters, but was also welcomed by others who saw it as a long overdue step. In the intricate geopolitical chessboard of the Middle East, Turkey emerged as a pivotal player during the Trump presidency. Under the leadership of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, Turkey's strategic importance to the United States was undeniable. Its geographical location straddling Europe and Asia made it a bridge between East and West, while its membership in NATO underscored its significance in the Western security architecture. Trump recognized Turkey's critical role in the region and saw in Erdogan a strong and decisive leader with whom he could do business. The two leaders, both known for their unconventional approaches and assertive styles, developed a rapport that transcended their ideological differences. This personal connection, while criticized by some, proved instrumental in facilitating cooperation between the two countries on a range of issues. Turkey's significance to the United States was multifaceted. From a security perspective, Turkey hosted Incirlik Air Base, a strategic asset for U.S. military operations in the Middle East. Additionally, Turkey played a crucial role in managing the Syrian refugee crisis, hosting millions of displaced Syrians within its borders. Economically, Turkey represented a growing market for U.S. goods and services, while its energy resources, particularly its potential as a transit hub for Caspian and Central Asian energy, held significant strategic value. However, the U.S.-Turkey relationship was not without its challenges. Turkey's increasingly independent foreign policy, particularly its close ties with Russia and its military incursions into Syria, raised concerns in Washington. Additionally, human rights issues in Turkey, including the erosion of press freedom and the crackdown on dissent following the failed coup attempt in 2016, strained relations between the two countries. The Syrian civil war, a brutal and protracted conflict that had ravaged the country for years, presented a significant challenge for both the United States and Turkey. The conflict had created a humanitarian catastrophe, displacing millions of Syrians and destabilizing the entire region. For the Trump administration, Syria was a test case for its America First foreign policy, which sought to limit U.S. involvement in foreign entanglements. Turkey, sharing a long border with Syria, faced its own set of challenges posed by the conflict. The influx of Syrian refugees had placed a strain on Turkey's resources, while the rise of Kurdish militias in northern Syria, which Turkey viewed as a security threat, added another layer of complexity. Despite their differing perspectives on the Syrian conflict, the United States and Turkey found common ground in their desire to defeat ISIS, the extremist group that had seized control of large swaths of territory in Syria and Iraq. The two countries cooperated closely in the fight against ISIS, sharing intelligence and coordinating military operations. However, the U.S. decision to partner with the Syrian Democratic Forces, a Kurdish-led militia that Turkey considered a terrorist organization, created tensions between the two NATO allies. Turkey viewed the SDF as an extension of the Kurdistan Workers' Party, a group that had waged a decades-long insurgency against the Turkish state. In the realm of counterterrorism, the United States and Turkey shared a common enemy in the form of extremist groups like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. Both countries had been targets of terrorist attacks and recognized the need for close cooperation to combat this shared threat. Turkey's strategic location bordering Syria and Iraq made it a frontline state in the fight against terrorism, while its intelligence capabilities and experience in counterterrorism operations made it a valuable partner for the United States. The Trump administration recognized Turkey's contributions to the global fight against terrorism and sought to deepen cooperation in this area. The two countries worked together to disrupt terrorist networks, share intelligence, and counter violent extremism. Turkey's efforts to stem the flow of foreign fighters traveling to Syria and Iraq to join ISIS were particularly noteworthy. Despite their shared commitment to combating terrorism, differences emerged between the United States and Turkey over the U.S. support for Kurdish groups in Syria. Turkey viewed these groups as an extension of the PKK and accused the United States of arming and supporting terrorists. The Trump administration, on the other hand, saw the Kurdish groups as effective partners in the fight against ISIS and downplayed their links to the PKK. Section 6. Energy Security Partnership. Beyond security concerns, the U.S.-Turkey relationship held significant potential in the realm of energy security. Turkey, situated at the crossroads of major energy-producing regions, served as a crucial transit route for oil and gas flowing from the Caspian Sea, Central Asia, and the Middle East to European markets. Its strategic location, coupled with its growing energy infrastructure, made it an attractive partner for the United States, which sought to diversify global energy supplies and reduce dependence on traditional suppliers. Trump, with his focus on energy dominance, recognized Turkey's potential as a key energy partner. The two countries explored opportunities for cooperation in the energy sector, including the development of pipelines and other infrastructure projects that would enhance energy security in the region. Turkey's aspirations to become an energy hub, connecting energy producers in the East with consumers in the West, aligned with U.S. interests in promoting energy diversification and reducing reliance on Russian gas. However, the realization of this energy partnership faced challenges, including regional geopolitical complexities and competition from other powers, such as Russia and China, which were also seeking to expand their influence in the energy sector. Section 7. Human rights concerns. While the United States and Turkey found common ground on security and energy issues, their relationship was strained by growing concerns over Turkey's human rights record. Under President Erdogan, Turkey had witnessed a steady erosion of democratic freedoms, including freedom of speech, assembly, and the press. The government's crackdown on dissent, particularly following the failed coup attempt in 2016, raised alarm bells in Washington and among international human rights organizations. The Trump administration, while initially reluctant to criticize Turkey publicly on human rights issues, faced growing pressure from Congress and within its own ranks to address these concerns. The detention of American citizens, including Pastor Andrew Brunson, on charges related to terrorism and espionage, further strained relations between the two countries. The human rights issue presented a dilemma for the Trump administration. On the one hand, Turkey was a NATO ally and a crucial partner in a volatile region. On the other hand, the United States had a long-standing commitment to promoting democracy and human rights, and ignoring Turkey's backsliding on these issues would undermine its credibility. Section 8. Navigating regional ambitions. Turkey's increasingly independent foreign policy, often at odds with U.S. interests, posed another challenge to the bilateral relationship. Under President Erdogan, Turkey had asserted itself more assertively on the regional stage, pursuing its own strategic objectives, sometimes in direct conflict with those of the United States. Turkey's military incursions into Syria, aimed at pushing back Kurdish militias, were a source of particular tension. The United States, while understanding Turkey's security concerns, viewed these operations as destabilizing and counterproductive to the fight against ISIS. The Turkish government, on the other hand, accused the United States of prioritizing its partnership with Kurdish groups over its relationship with Turkey. Beyond Syria, Turkey's close ties with Russia, including its purchase of the S-400 missile defense system, a move that drew condemnation from the United States and other NATO allies, highlighted Ankara's willingness to chart its own course, even if it meant alienating its Western partners. Section 9. The road ahead. As the Trump presidency came to an end, the future of the U.S.-Turkey relationship remained uncertain. The two countries had navigated a complex and often turbulent period, marked by both cooperation and tension. The Biden administration, which succeeded Trump, inherited this complex relationship and faced the challenge of finding a way to work with Turkey on issues of common interest, while also addressing the underlying sources of friction. The Biden administration made it clear that it would prioritize human rights and democratic values in its foreign policy, signaling a shift from the Trump administration's more transactional approach. This new emphasis on values-based diplomacy could potentially create further friction with Turkey, as the Biden administration was expected to be more vocal in its criticism of Turkey's human rights record. Despite the challenges, the United States and Turkey remained bound by shared interests, including counterterrorism, regional stability, and energy security. Finding a way to compartmentalize their differences and focus on areas of cooperation would be crucial for both countries. Dialogue, diplomacy, and a willingness to understand each other's perspectives would be essential for navigating the complexities of the U.S.-Turkey relationship in the years to come.